Okay, welcome to our current events lesson plan. We're going to be looking at topic selection. So what I'm looking for you guys to make what's going to be called an annotated bibliography. And what I'm looking for is the answer to these questions. How did this piece of media have unique expression in printing, radio, television, or internet? It's basically the history of journalism or transmitting information. How did your topic as a form of media impact our culture? What in our culture changed as a result, and what lesson can we learn from this? What I am not looking for. I'm not looking for your opinion on the topic yet. I mean, maybe later we can talk about it. I'm not looking out for a long, drawn-out summary of what the media is. I am not looking for writing on the topic that does not include discussion on the media piece. Okay, I want you to talk specifically about what this piece of media is. So when we look at the Bible, again, on this, guys, I am not looking, you can talk about this. I have a master's degree in religion. I'm not looking for your beliefs on the Bible or your thoughts on the Bible. Not to say that isn't important, and that's something I hope you continue to form. But for the purposes of this project, I want you to look specifically at the printing press, the mass production of the Bible, and how that impacted things. Okay? There's a book called Uncle Tom's Cabin. And this book by Harriet Beecher Stowe had a huge impact on people's opinion of slavery. So if you were going to look at this piece of media, I want you to look into that and how, as people read Uncle Tom's Cabin, their opinions of slavery changed. The jungle. The key concept I want you to look here is the impact on regulation of meat plants. Remember, we had discussed this, that when people read The Jungle, they became horrified at what was happening at meat plants. I want you to tell me more about that. Wartime radio broadcasts. The main thing I want you to look here is that the radio was used to broadcast information during wartime, and this helped get more and more people to support World War II. At first, a lot of Americans had a lot of questions about us getting involved in a war over in Europe. Americans at that time really didn't believe in getting involved in wars across the ocean, but the radio helped change that. I'd like you to look into specifically how wartime radio broadcasts helped create more support for World War II. Another one would be the War of the Worlds. This is a crazy story. So when War of the Worlds was actually first, War of the Worlds, if you've seen or read the book, it's a book about aliens coming to Earth and invading. It was made into a Tom Cruise movie, I want to say 20 years ago maybe. But the first time they read it over the radio, people ran out screaming, or people ran out of their houses or crashed their cars screaming because they thought that this was a real news event. They thought the world was really being invaded by aliens. So this was a little bit, people weren't used to hearing fiction on the radio. And people hadn't gotten used to yet that there would be false things on the radio. So there's a huge cultural response to this. If you're looking for something interesting to do, it's kind of a fun story to tell. This is something else you could look into, is War of the Worlds. Star Trek. So if you get to know me at all, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. And there is this legendary story where Nichelle Nichols, who sadly died recently, was ready to quit the show. She didn't think it was a good use of her time. And she actually told this to Martin Luther King Jr., who implored her to stay, implored her to keep being on the show, and said it was important for the civil rights movement. This character, Lieutenant Uhura, was very important as the first real black woman that we saw on TV that was not in a role as something like a maid or a helper, but was an equal on a spaceship. So this had a big impact on the race conversation in this country. So if you're looking to do a research project there, that could be something really interesting. The Vietnam War news coverage. So if I told you that the radio news coverage for World War II helped to get more people to support that war, the exact opposite happened with Vietnam. The more and more people saw what was happening on TV, the less and less they came to support it. So that could be another interesting topic to explore. The moon landing. This is again just looking into the impact it had on our culture. This is a really big deal. So, you could look into all that. I mean, it was one of the first events where like everyone, you see this family around their TV. That was really common at the time. Wikipedia. So the key concept I want you to look into here is that access to information. How Wikipedia has really democratized people's access to information. It used to be that to get an encyclopedia, you had to be wealthy or you had to have access to a library. Now with Wikipedia, anybody can have access to it. And then there's political disinformation. So how did this help bring about things like the 2016 election or Brexit? So these could be two topics you can look into. If you're not familiar with what Brexit is and you're looking for more of a challenge, that could be an interesting one to do. Okay, so I hope that makes everything clear. Ask your teachers if you need help. You can always email me if you need help. I should be checking my email regularly. All right, guys, thank you very much and have a great day.